If I ask that question and I don't get any hands and you've all been hired, my question is going to be, why did I hire these guys? But the people who are retained during layoffs are the people who are full of ideas. Any other questions about what we look for or how to set yourself apart in once you get hired? Go ahead.
Hi Todd, nice to meet you. My name is Gajanan, and I like first of all just like thank you for your insight. That was very eye-opening, and like I really like made me like realize how like jobs are just more than just doing what you're told and like about contributing. And I just wanted your my question was like so I used to run a club back in high school, and I would lead the club, and I would like talk to my members and like my other co-leaders, and there would be scenarios where I would ask them, "Hey, how do we do this?" And like one of the scenarios you mentioned, like they all blanked, like they didn't really have any ideas to contribute. And I was just wondering like in the future, should I ever run into a situation like that, do you have any advice on how I can get the ball rolling and sort of like make it like less hard for them to, get like come up with ideas?
Yeah, see, so two things. First of all, if you're in a sports, on a sports team, a band, a club, you're already ahead of the game because you develop a lot of durable skills doing that. As you mentioned, you were able to talk and get input. When people don't give input, like I would have said, hey, you got the wrong people in your club. No, I'm kidding. Um, that's what, yeah, okay. So I'm kidding with that, but that's what a manager would think. But see, you're running across what managers come across, and didn't that get frustrating? So there's a whole lesson we have on different types of influencer types. And we're not talking about social media influencer. We're talking about within a team dynamic. And so you have to teach them the influencer types. You have one who's the enforcer. You have one that's a shaper. You have one that is a neutralizer, and you have one that's a follower. And each of those, just tell them about these types, right? So a neutralizer is someone who here's an idea, and then they're like, you know what? That's a cool idea, but I don't like it, and here's because. And then you have an enforcer who hears an idea and says, that's a great idea, and here's the reason why, right? You have a shaper, and that's what you are lacking in your club. Someone who says, hey, what about if we try this? And then we have a follower. And the followers just simply say, hey, I agree. So what you want in a company or in your club is to identify who the shapers are. And they're the ones who are like, when you say, where should we go eat? They're like, oh, let's go get sushi. They're the ones. What movie should we watch? Oh, I want to go watch this movie. The new Wicked Part Two. Look for those type of people. They're your shapers. So then when you start to talk, hopefully you look to them and you ask them, what do you think? Okay. If you've told your club about all these different groups and they know there's an enforcer or there's a someone who can kind of neutralize, help them to appreciate what role they play. If there's someone who's like always like negative, like, nah, I don't want to go get sushi. I don't like fish, or, I just had it yesterday. The person who is always saying, nah, I don't want to do that. No, I want to do that. You give them a purpose and a role. They're a neutralizer, but tell them, don't just say, this is not going to work. Always add why that won't work and what could work, right? So you start to train them that way. So if you're in your friends group, I want to go get pizza. Nah, I don't want to get pizza. It's too oily. My skin breaks out. Okay, what would you suggest? Well, I think I would suggest going to Chipotle. It's not as greasy, X, Y, and Z. So you start to train people in your club or in your friends group or wherever to understand these different roles, or you can identify them. If you identify that person who's like, yeah, I want to do this. Yeah, they won't speak up, but they'll always back the idea. Then you tell them, that's awesome. Why did you decide to agree? So you always want them to know their role, be able to disagree but give a suggestion, or agree and give a reason. And then you're just going to get some people who just you want to help them slowly to get self-confidence so that they speak up. Usually when people don't speak up, it's because they don't have self-confidence. So if you have just a bunch of followers that'll just go, yeah, what, I'll go. You want to let them know, hey, followers are good. You might not use the exact terminology I'm using. I'm using these terms so you understand the roles, but you just have to mentally understand the roles. And if there's a bunch of people in your club that are just, they will never come up with an idea. They'll never shoot down an idea. They'll never back an idea. They just go along. Those are the ones that you need to help build self-confidence. And there's a whole methodology and approach to helping them build self-confidence. Because after a while, they might say something. They might say something to you privately, like, oh, you were asking about that. I didn't want to say anything, but I was thinking this. And you go, man, that's awesome. Hey, the next time we meet, I'm gonna ask again and you tell people what we think. Does that make sense? So again, identify these type of people. The person who's a shaper, they're the one who always has the idea. You guys have a group project and you guys are trying to figure out what to do. Do you guys know that one person in your group or in this class is like, oh, we should try this? There's usually two or three of them. Always the idea person, right? I think Wasim's one of them. He's been very interactive. And then there's always someone, usually someone who's always negative. Oh, no, that's not gonna work. Don't tell them you're super negative. We don't want you on our team. Tell them, hey, you obviously see something that's wrong with this idea. What do you think won't work? And more importantly, what do you think will? Right? So, I mean, that's one of the things we teach, we train on, and you can learn more about it. But hopefully, did that answer your question?
Yeah,
Identify. Yeah,
yeah,
go
it was
for
a
it.
great answer. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, and you can do it with this group here. Yeah. Any other questions? So this is something that there's no right or wrong, right? If I said, I want you to give me a topic, some curriculum, something that you think would make them feel good about themselves. If I ask that question and I don't get any hands and you've all been hired, my question is going to be, why did I hire these guys? Now, yes, I could come up with all the ideas and then say, here, you guys, you code the database, you code, this, you design the UI for it. But the people who are retained during layoffs are the people who are full of ideas. Now, sometimes you might say, well, that's not my forte. I just code, right? So that's another area where we want you to start thinking about, hey, I have you ever done this where when you see something or do something, you think, oh, that would be a good idea, where you have ideas of how you can improve something? Does anyone ever do that? Where you say, oh, I wish they had this. Maybe you're at Chipotle and you say, oh, I wish, right? You find something. Maybe it's some clothing and you're like, this is jacked up. I wish they had. That's the type of thinking that we need, even from our coders. Some of the best coders that I worked with, I say, here's what I think I want to do. Here's what we want to do as the game mechanic. And here's what I think we should do. And then he says, well, what about this? What about that? Jacob would say, well, what about this, that, and the other? And the reason why I would listen to him is he was an avid gamer. So even though you're a coder and you're coding in a program language, you all have a background that perhaps gives you a different viewpoint on something. And so just put that in the back of your head that we hire you not just to do things, not just to code, at least the good companies. There are companies that will hire you just to do what you're told. But do not lose your ability to think as far as being creative, being innovative, right?